Hello, I'm Senate Minority Leader Eric Kearney from Cincinnati. Welcome to Ohio in Focus.
Hello and welcome to Ohio in Focus, a program that brings state government to you. I'm your host, Mike Rao. Today we are joined by Senate Minority Leader Eric Kearney. We're going to talk about the results of the election and the upcoming lame duck session. Senator, thanks once again for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
First question is just as we're taping this show, the election was just a couple of days ago, and want to get your take on the results.
Well, I'm very pleased about Senator Lou Gentile, who was running in this 30th Senate District. He did a fabulous job and he won. That was a hard-fought race and was really the most contentious and closest race in the Ohio Senate. So that's why I bring that to light. And so very happy. Lou Gentile is a wonderful senator. He worked very hard. On a statewide level, I was very happy to see that the Sherrod Brown won re-election as the U.S. Senator. And then, of course, President Obama. I'm a big supporter of his, as many people know, and I was very happy about that. Just generally, I was just really pleased that so many people voted, that even though some people had to vote with provisional ballots, their votes still count and they were still able to participate. I would just say that our democracy is very strong. People still support electing the president and going out and voting and electing their local officials. So I was very, very pleased with that.
There, of course, was a lot happening in the terms of how Ohioans would be able to vote leading up to the election. There was a question whether or not there would be the last 3 days of early in-person voting before the election. That went all the way up to the Supreme Court. The Democratic Caucus in the Senate also did sleep out the vote. Can you talk a little bit about all that has transpired, in actually weeks or months leading up to the election?
Well, yes, there were a lot of issues there, and thank you for bringing those up. The Senate Democratic Caucus decided that voting was one of our core issues, and we wanted to participate to make sure that voting was open and people had access to the ballot. So we had sleep out the vote, which was people slept out at the Board of Elections on the first day of early voting. I've done it in Cincinnati this is my 5th year, I believe. People did it in Franklin County, Cuyahoga County, Lucas County, which is Toledo, and in Youngstown. So it was a statewide effort, and it was a lot of fun. There were also...
and it rained a lot, too.
It rained like crazy. I got very wet. I had 2 changes of clothes. But then there were other issues involving, having weekend voting, the weekend before Election Day. And we filed an amicus brief in the United States Supreme Court. That was something that we had never done before. But all of the senators felt that it was very important that we have weekend voting before Election Day. And so we were very active.
And if you look at the number of people who voted early in person, it seems pretty clear that the people of Ohio want that opportunity.
That's exactly right. People want that opportunity. It's just like, I don't know who came up with this analogy, but they said it's just like when Christmas sales are on. Stores are open later, they have more hours, and so that's the way the Secretary of State's office should be in the local boards of elections. People want access to the ballot, they want to vote, so they should be open longer hours, and it should be a service think of it as a service industry, so you want to have as many people participate as possible.
Let's move ahead to something that's going to be coming up here. We're in the waning days of the 129th General Assembly. We're going to have a lame duck session.
Yes.
Before the end of the year. Do you have kind of a broad goal or aspirations for lame duck?
Yes, I do. I would like to see bipartisanship, and not just in a token form where, just vote for this bill on the floor, but where Republicans and Democratic members of the Senate can come together, craft legislation, even though there's not much time, but we can get together and meet and introduce amendments together, introduce bills together, so that there's really give and take, and so that we can have legislation, quite frankly, that's stronger. Because the more people that participate in the crafting of the legislation, it's my belief that the better the legislation will be.
Sort of what we saw with pension reform.
Right, that would be a wonderful example. President Niehaus and I were able to work together, clear some of the roadblocks ahead of time, and agree on things before the bills were introduced. And then once they were introduced, we got virtually unanimous support.
Let's look at some of the potential bills that your caucus would like to see come up in lame duck. One is a bill that you're sponsoring, which is income tax refunds.
Right. Well, that bill deals with getting income tax refunds, and this only deals with Ohio income tax reforms, and getting them on a debit card. That way, people can access their cash a lot quicker rather than waiting on a check. You may recall several years ago, I introduced a bill that allowed people to take their refund and place it into a savings account directly. Well, this is kind of an outgrowth of that bill and is something that I would hope would get covered during lame duck.
A couple other bills, Senator Brown from Toledo dealing with child nutrition, which really deals with an issue that comes up, how these school lunch programs and stuff, but what happens during the summer, right?
Right, exactly. There's a big initiative in Cincinnati run by Childhood Food Solutions, and that's a group, the walk that I do from Cincinnati to Columbus, and it deals with hunger of kids during the summer months when school is out of session. Many kids receive free lunches, breakfasts, and so we need to have something that addresses their needs during the summer months when school is closed.
Let's run down a few other ones. Senate Bill 367, sponsored by Senator Gentile, with the Ohio Veterans Opportunity Act. What does that do exactly?
Well, it establishes and awards academic credit for veterans. This is a wonderful bill that Senator Gentile has that really gets to a lot of problems that we have. Veterans are experiencing employment problems, access to education issues. And so this bill really goes to the heart of that issue. It's a wonderful, wonderful example of how Lou Gentile is very in touch with his district.
And sort of related to higher education as well is the Ambition Penalty Relief Act, which Senator Sawyer introduced a few months ago, which is, these are students that want to take extra hours, perhaps finish their degree a little earlier, but yet some institutions are penalizing them.
Right. This is something that's fascinating. And when I learned about this from Senator Sawyer's research, I was very disappointed to hear this. So basically, if you're a student and you take more hours than the, let's say, more than 15 hours or 16 hours at a particular institution, there's an extra tax or fee that's placed on you for doing that. And it's horrible. It penalizes people for trying to get their education faster. You would think that schools would want to reward that behavior. So this bill attempts to address that. It would only apply to state universities, but I think it's something that really needs to be done. And my hope is that this will get a quick and thorough hearing in the Ohio Senate, pass the Ohio Senate, and then brought over to the Ohio House, and the governor would sign that.
One last bill I wanted to touch on is the FAIR Act, which is sponsored by Senators Turner and Tavares. This deals with wage discrimination.
Right. That's a bill that's, it's another great bill. Senator Tavares and Turner have worked a great deal on it. All the women in our caucus are supportive of this because it deals with equity and wages for women. It's something that's in conjunction with the Lilly Ledbetter Act, which President Obama signed into law in 2009, I believe. And so we just want to do that in Ohio. It's just fair pay for women.
Do you think overall lame duck is going to be pretty busy or what?
Yes, I believe lame duck will be busy. I think there are a lot of interesting and good issues. I would encourage viewers of this program and citizens of Ohio to please contact your state senator or your state representative and make sure your voice is heard about these important issues.
Okay. Thanks, Senator Kearney, for joining us.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Well, you can follow Senator Kearney and the Ohio Senate Democratic Caucus on Facebook, Twitter, and at ohiosenate.gov. Thanks for watching Ohio in Focus.